Good morning, boys and girls. We are ready for session 3 of our fantasy unit. So again, I hope that you are using a fantasy book to do what I apply our mini lesson to that book today. So today we're talking about multiple plot lines and problems. So just to kind of get us thinking about this, a real life example of this, in real life we have lots of problems that arise. And sometimes those things can get compounded. So just an example of this would be a while back, my daughter and I were headed to school, and she had dance and piano that night. And usually every morning she's supposed to take her bags and put them in the car so that we know we have everything we need. Well, we were all ready to school when she realized she had forgotten her dance bag. So I had to call my husband and have him come bring the dance bag because we had to leave right after school to go to dance, and I didn't have time to run home and get the dance bag. And then right after dance, we also have piano. Well, it wasn't until after school that she realized she didn't have piano. So I had to find a time to be able to run all the way across town and get her piano bag too. So those are multiple problems that just compounded that day. This happens a lot in stories, especially stories that we're reading that have like multiple books, like books in a series. You're going to find out a lot of times that the stories don't really end at the end of that. The problems don't end at the end of that first book. They're continued on, or only some of the problems are actually solved. An example of this would be in the very first Harry Potter book. He finds the stone at the end, which is what they were searching for, what their quest was in that book. But Voldemort's spirit escapes. So Voldemort is still out there. So that problem hasn't been solved, even though the immediate problem of finding the Sorcerer's Stone and keeping it from Voldemort was solved. So I want to teach you guys today that as you tackle more complicated books, you're going to run into multiple plot lines. And you will find it helpful to use charts or timelines or any type of other graphic organizer to help track those multiple problems and plot lines, and to gather data just like a scientist does, and charts and tables to help you really analyze what's happening in the story. So right here, I want to show you a transcript of, this is a group of boys that were reading a story from the Dragon Slayer series. This is the first one, I think, in that series. So this is a transcript of their discussion. And I want you to put on your researching lenses and see, what is this conversation suggesting to you about the notion of multiple plot lines and problems. So I want you just to pay attention to that as I read to you this. What are some of the multiple problems that are happening in this story that they're discussing? So Michael says, I can't believe Winglaf killed a dragon. Jose, I know, that was all he wanted, to kill a dragon so he could get gold for his family. Sam, but now Headmaster Mordred has stolen his gold away, so he killed the dragon for nothing. Michael says, I know, and he feels bad about it too. Now Winglaf has a new problem. He doesn't like killing dragons. Sam, but the dragons don't know that, and I noticed the next book is called Revenge of the Dragon Lady. Michael, well, that's a new problem for Winglaf. Jose, so the book ends and Winglaf is still poor, and now he has a new problem. He's at school for dragon slayers, and he's a dragon liker, and the dragons hate him. Michael, and what about Winglaf's friend Eric, and when is he going to impress everyone? He's so desperate to kill a dragon, but it was Winglaf who did it. Sam, actually Eric's problem is he's a girl. Winglaf is a secret dragon liker, and Eric is secretly a girl. I read ahead. Her problem is worse than Winglaf's, and it stays worse for longer. And Angus has problems too. He's Mordred's nephew. That stinks, and he can't stay away from the sweets. Jose, at least Mordred's happy because he has gold. He has gold now. Michael, no, Mordred will always want more gold. You can tell he's greedy, and greedy people are never satisfied. Jose, snap. These folks have lots of problems. So, with that conversation there, some of the problems that I was noticing, I just jotted down some notes. The headmaster Mordred stole the gold from one of his students. Winglaf learns he doesn't like killing dragons. Dragons don't like Winglaf now because he's killed a dragon. Winglaf is still poor at the end of this novel. Winglaf is at a school for dragon slayers, and he likes dragons, but dragons don't like him now. And another problem for another character is Eric is actually a girl. And so what does this conversation suggest to you about the notion of multiple plot lines and problems? Well, what it tells me is that at the end of this story, only some of the problems are actually solved. There was a lot going on, which again, too, like I said, this is very typical of books in series. It's why you really want to, the author wants you to read the next one, get the next book, and find out what happens next. But this also can happen in any book that you're reading that's a standalone novel as well. So it's kind of amazing how much is happening and how many problems, plot lines and problems have arose. We definitely saw at the end of this story that only some of the problems were resolved. So a good tool to use when reading stories like this is to keep track of what is happening with a chart or an organizer. So here's a sample one that I made for this group. And so I have just the characters of Winglaf and Eric note on here, and I took the information I wrote on the first page and just put it into this chart. So Winglaf needs gold, so he kills a dragon, but Mordred takes the gold. He was poor. His solution was he was going to kill the dragon to get gold, but he ends up not keeping it, so at the end of the book he's still poor. He wants to kill a dragon, so he kills a dragon, but he finds out he doesn't like killing dragons, and now dragons want revenge on him. What do we know about Eric? The problem is, wants to impress everybody by killing a dragon. So goes with Winglaf, finds a dragon, can't figure out how to kill a dragon, and Winglaf gets the glory. We also know that Eric is a girl. She dresses as a boy, but she hasn't told anyone. This is a secret. So it's by using this tool, it helps me kind of organize the different problems and plot lines that are happening in the story. So you can imagine how a quick chart would really help launch a long and deeply analytical conversation. These quick charts and timelines are great starting places for detailed conversations. They don't take long to make. It's not much for writing over time. It's not that much writing over time. But they help you make your conversations about books more substantial because you've done a lot of collecting of data and created opportunities for real thinking about what it is you're reading. So as you guys are reading in your fantasy stories, this would be a great thing to do to keep track of all these multiple plot lines so that when I'm visiting with you through my comments and stuff on your books, you could be able to help answer questions or have a conversation with me over these things. So let's look at Wrinkle in Time. So I've just gone up through chapter 7. I quickly wrote out a list of problems that Meg was having already. So we know Meg was having trouble in school. Her family's gossip about in town because her father's missing. Meg's father is missing. Calvin has issues at home. Meg, Charles Wallace, and Calvin are tessered away to find Meg's father. The Black Thing has taken over other planets and is also on Earth. So those are just a quick list of some of the problems that we've talked about so far in A Wrinkle in Time. So I took that information and I just wrote up a quick chart to help me keep track of those things. I just did Meg and Calvin to start with. A couple problems that Meg had. Her father's missing. She's going to search for him. That's our solution. We don't know what happens yet because we haven't got to the end of the story. She's having trouble at school. Again, don't really have a solution for that yet because right now she's not even at school. Calvin, we know he has some issues at home. Don't know yet if that will be solved or not. And again, we don't know any information from the end of the story. So this would be something that we could go back to and add information to help keep track of those things that are happening in the story. So as for what I would like for you guys to do today, as you are reading, on this page of your book, it says a graphic organizer to keep track of problems. If you want to do just a quick chart of some of your characters and what are their problems that you noticed so far, and if they have some solutions to some of those problems, if you've already finished the book or you're more than halfway through, you might have some information. Some of you might even be reading A Wrinkle in Time. If you want to add more to the charts for the characters of Meg and Calvin and Charles Wallace, you can even do the character of the Black Thing or Mrs. Who, Mrs. Watson, or Mrs. Witch. Tell me what are some of the problems, how are they solved, just to help me see that you're keeping track of those different characters and different problems that they're facing across those multiple plot lines. So as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing or seeing some of your posts about what's happening with this. And if you need help finding any type of fictional book or fantasy book to be reading, please let me know because I have a whole list of ones that I found on Hoopla, on Epic, and on Libby that would be great for you guys to be reading right now. So make sure you don't forget to do Lexia and also upload any posts and any summaries you have done so far of any books that you finished to keep working towards those 40 book goals. Good job, guys.